Capital News tonight. CCM's National Executive Council approved. In Capital News tonight. CCM's National Executive Council approves 264 parliamentary aspirants. IGP Simon Siro wants answers from police commanders in regions tarnished by political chaos. And in sports, younger head coach and remaining foreign players to arrive next week ahead of the new Premier League season. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. The National Executive Council of Chama cha Mapinduzi CCM has approved 264 names of parliamentary aspirants out of 10,367. The names were announced after the Security and Ethics Committee and the Central Committee selected the names of aspirants before being approved by the National Executive Council.
Jimbo la Ubungo ni Profesa Kitila Mkumbo. Jimbo la Kibamba Isa Jumanne Mtemvu. Jimbo la Kinondoni Abbas Gula Mtarimba. Jimbo la Kawe Askofu Josephat Matias Gwajima. Jimbo la Kigamboni Dr. Faustin Engelbert Ndungulile. Jimbo la Ilala ndugu Zungu Azan Musa. Jimbo la Segerea ndugu Bona Ladislaus Kamoli. Jimbo la Ukonga ndugu Jerry William Silaa. Jimbo la Temeke ndugu Doroth Kilave. Jimbo la Mbagala ndugu Abdalla Jafari cha Urembo. Hawa wabunge wagombea ubunge wa majimbo wao watakuwa mstari wa mbele na chama kutafuta kura.
Candidates contesting for parliamentary seats in constituencies will be at the forefront together with the party to seek votes. For those in special seats category, the party has instructed that they will take part in the campaign from beginning to end. Their names will be taken to the Electoral Commission.
Wito wangu kwenu ndugu wajumbe.
My call to you delegates is to discuss proposals carefully by putting good first, party interests and our nation. We must not put forward nepotism, favoritism, but rather on one's ability to lead.
Lakini kutokana na ratiba,
taking into consideration the electoral timetable of NEC and ZEC not being the same on nomination, this meeting will therefore not nominate representatives. Therefore, nominations will be on members of parliament and special seats.
Ai mama, ai mama, ai mama, ai mama.
And various leaders have failed to recontest their parliamentary seats after Chama cha Mapinduzi National Executive Council announced the names of aspirants selected to participate in the October general election. Here are more details.
Those left out include those who had held ministerial posts in the fifth phase government, such as the Minister of Information, Culture, Arts and Sports, Dr. Harrison Mwakembe, who was the Member of Parliament for Kela, former Member of Parliament of Southeast Morogoro and Deputy Minister of Agriculture Omari Mgumba, former MP of Bariadi Andrew Chenge, former Member of Parliament of Mwibara Kangi Lugola, and former Member of Parliament of Bushosa Charles Tizeba. Others are Stephen Masele, former Member of Parliament of Shinyanga Urban, Adadi Rajabu, former Member of Parliament of Muheza, Peter Serukamba, former Member of Parliament of Kigoma North, Rafael Chegeni, former Member of Parliament of Busega, Professor Jumane Magembe, former Member of Parliament of Mwanga, Mary Nagu, former Member of Parliament of Hanang, Emmanuel Papian, former Member of Parliament of Kiteto, George Lubeleje, former Member of Parliament of Mpapwa, and Charles Kitwanga, former Member of Parliament of Misungwi. Former Chadema members of parliament who crossed over to CCM and have been approved to contest the parliamentary election include David Silinde, who is contesting the parliamentary seat in Tunduru constituency, and Cecil Mwambe, who is vying for Ndanda parliamentary seat.
And the Inspector General of Police, IGP Simon Siro, has directed commanders of the police force to come up with answers on incidents of chaos which have occurred during political gatherings, which include stone throwing and burning of officers of political parties. IGP Siro gave the directive during a meeting with religious leaders of the Peace Committee.
Na ni lazima tuwafundishe adabu hao watu wa hovyo waweze kutii sheria.
We must teach such characters how to obey the law. If someone within is setting the place on fire, then we must identify what institution it is. And if it is someone from outside, then he will be dealt with according to the law.
La polisi na viongozi wa dini tukishirikiana.
The police force working together with spiritual leaders in education, the election, but also in sharing information on those who in one way or another are tampering with peace. I believe we will finish this election peacefully.
Kwa salama na amani. Mara nyingi nchi nyingi zimeingia katika machafuko.
Many countries fall into chaos during the election, so I urge every Tanzanian, peace that we enjoy has been paid at a high price, so it is easy to break it with very few things. So therefore we must be careful what we say and what language we use.
Health professionals in Kilimanjaro region have said delayed disbursement of medicines and medical facilities from the medical stores department has continued to be a problem despite timely importation and payment for the products.
The debt is not realistic. It shows High District owes 91 million, but this is not the case. I personally went with my pharmacist to MSD to verify, and we found that in High District we owe only 9 million in debt. At the moment, we operate on a cash system, so if you come with cash, then you are supplied with medicine.
The Minister of Home Affairs, George Simbachawene, has called on new citizens of Burundian origin living in refugee settlements in the country not to burn citizenship certificates given by the government and not to engage in the politics of Burundi. In Burundi, there is no land, while here you are waiting to be allocated some. But even if you are not given any, you are living in a better environment. You're able to take your children to school, yet you want to go and make demands from a country you're not even recognized. Some of the people that have been granted citizenship are banning their citizenship certificates, claiming that one day they will return to Burundi. The chairperson of the Agricultural Council of Tanzania, ACT, Dr. Jacqueline Mkindi, has said despite Tanzania having sufficient food, there still is a need for farmers to increase production in order to benefit from opportunities in trading of crops beyond the borders. We have capacity to produce more, tons and tons of all crops. As you know, Africa also needs us a lot in food production. Zonal markets are opening up, so it is an opportunity to us as a nation, to our farmers, but also to business operators in agriculture. So they should sit together and see what can be done to positively impact production.
Kazi yetu kubwa ni kushirikiana na watafiti.
A big proportion of what we do involves working with researchers in progressive production of seeds for food crops, and what has been researched on, the private sector produces and supplies to farmers. Registration Insolvency and Trusteeship Agency RITA has said more than 5 million children under the age of 5 years have been registered and given birth certificates in 18 regions of the country. There is a big difference with regions we've not implemented. This is because service has been brought closer to the people, reducing challenges previously faced.
Mkoa wa Ruvuma ulikuwa na 5% kwa wakati ule.
For Ruvuma region, only 5% of children were registered, but despite of the COVID-19, people were able to come forward.
The government has said that it will continue its cooperation with China in various economic sectors, including construction of infrastructure such as upgrading of the Tanzania-Zambia Railway Tazara.
Na serikali ya Tanzania haitaruhusu.
The government of Tanzania will not allow Tazara to die. Firstly, it is our railway, and that is why this year Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, has given Tazara 10 billion shillings to conduct renovations. The government of Tanzania has also taken the responsibility of paying salaries of all Tazara employees. They have also given them a mine to help them in construction and renovation of the railway.
This
book is aimed at giving clear facts between Tanzania and China, and especially in our relationship, and we have already made plans to translate and publish this valuable work in Kiswahili.
That's all for national news. International news is next. In international news, as the number of coronavirus cases in Kenya continues to increase, with more than 31,441 recorded so far after 426 new cases were confirmed in the last 24 hours, health workers in the country have issued a 21-day ultimatum to the government to have their claims addressed, as failure to do so will result in a strike. And the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, MONUSCO, has been sensitizing its forces on adherence to anti-coronavirus guidelines due to increasing cases of the virus in various parts of the country.
Habari za asubuhi. Mnalijua jukumu letu la msingi na hamasisha askari wangu kuhusu ugonjwa.
I'm placing emphasis to my soldiers on the coronavirus. Because of the current situation, corona has become a challenge. We are under the United Nations, and we want to ensure that everyone follows all procedures directed by health officials to ensure that we control the virus. We provide aid when we find a person who is injured, but we also protect ourselves from corona by wearing gloves and masks.
That's all for the international news. We'll be back with business news after this break.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production. Infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and in business news. More than 60 billion shillings has been allocated for construction of the first phase of the railway line from Panda to Karema port in Tanganyika district, Katavi region, which is expected to open up business opportunities between Tanzania and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
The part from Panda to Karema will be built a bump that has standard gauge, but in order to get connectivity, we will place a meter link railway, meaning we will start operations early. Once we begin construction from Tabora to Kigoma, we'll build a railway from Kaliua to here, so all we'll need to change is the rail on top. It will help significantly, firstly, in transporting goods with a few days. Example, taking goods from Dar es Salaam port to Karema will take a day or two, and moving it from there will take 9 to 10 hours.
Tanzania Revenue Authority, TRA, started a special door-to-door taxpayers operation in Kigoma, which aims to identify and find solutions to challenges facing taxpayers in order to increase revenue collection.
Many have been registered and many have taxpayers' identification numbers, and those who are supposed to are using EFDs. But often the challenge we face is in annual record keeping at the end of the year for tax estimations. It is good of them to visit us and learn about our problems, because at times they look at us badly because we did not pay the taxes, but you find our businesses are not going well. You may have a small business and put it in a stall, but they won't count you as a small entrepreneur, but they will count you as a big one because you are in a stall.
Coffee processing factories and farmers in Kagera region have been urged to sensitize Tanzanians to build a culture of drinking coffee so as to expand the domestic market instead of depending on the foreign markets to sell the commodity.
We have learned from the effects of COVID. We have not closed the Tanzanian market. Our only problem is we don't consume the coffee we produce. But the main thing I'm asking is you should put your efforts towards building an internal market. If you are selling 50% out of the country and 50% inside the country, the effects of COVID will not have been significant. The right avenues right now are banks where Tanzania is member, such as the Africa Development Bank. The banks have rules which the government of Tanzania need to help us with.
That's where we leave off with business news. Sports is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Opposition, Joaquinho, he did lose some length.
And now, the management of Young African Sports Club has announced that their head coach and other players will arrive next week ahead of the new Premier League season.
Tena wiki ijayo kuwa na Sapong pamoja na Kalis ambao wanategemea kuja wiki ijayo.
We also expect Sapong and Kalis to arrive next week. This will add the strength to the squad so it can be complete. Many would like to know when the coach arrives. We also expect the coach to arrive next week. We will give you the name as days go on.
JKT Tanzania Football Club are in need of a goalkeeper and striker as they prepare for the coming season, where they aim to finish in the top 3.
Kwenye usajili hatutosajili kwa kiwango kikubwa kwa sababu
we won't sign a lot of players because we believe that we had a good team last season and they had already understood each other. What we will do is look at the weaknesses as stated by the coach so we can solve them and get ourselves in a better situation.
Liverpool will begin the defence of their title with a home game against newly promoted Leeds United on the weekend of 12th September and will barely have time to catch their breath after the fixtures for the 2020-2021 Premier League season revealed a hectic 9 months ahead.
Following a campaign that lasted almost a full calendar year, an unprecedentedly compact competition now awaits. Clubs competing in Europe will barely have a free midweek all year. The solitary concession to fatigue is the guarantee of a 30-day break between last season and next, meaning Manchester City and Manchester United will start a week later than the rest after their participation in UEFA Finals competitions. They visit Wolves and host Crystal Palace respectively on 19th of November.
Arsenal have agreed to a deal with Lille for Gabriel Magalhaes worth around £22 million, but still face competition from Napoli to sign the Brazilian defender. Here are more details.
The 22-year-old has been linked with several clubs in recent weeks, having initially looked set to agree a move to Everton earlier in the year. But while Manchester United have also been credited with an interest, it is understood Arsenal's offer of €24 million has been accepted, and Gabriel must now decide whether to move to the Emirates. The situation is complicated. Napoli's interest in the Brazil under-20 international was seen as a direct replacement for Kalidou Koulibaly should the Senegal international leave. Koulibaly is available for around £75 million, with Manchester City believed to be among the clubs who have expressed an interest in the 29-year-old.
Aaron Ramsdale has returned to Sheffield United after joining from Bournemouth on a 4-year deal. Here's more.
The England under-21 goalkeeper began his career with the Blades before leaving to join Bournemouth in 2017, and Chris Wilder's side are believed to have spent £18.5 million to secure his return. The 22-year-old, who was voted Bournemouth Supporters Player of the Year last season, is set to replace Dean Henderson at Bramall Lane after the on-loan Manchester United goalkeeper confirmed he will not be returning. Ramsdale was thought to be keen to stay in the Premier League following Bournemouth's relegation and is delighted to be back.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. My name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching and good night.